It's showtime, folks. And this is the first session in a special series in the Smartphone Photography Masterclass warm-up. And I'm just going to show you, this is what I look like. Just checking that the screen is working and that things are happening. Because I've got a lot of windows open here, so I'm just crossing my fingers that everything's okay. It says I'm live, so I'm going to believe them. And I'm going to get rid of a window. All right, so what I'm going to do is, this is what we're going to do tonight. It's going to be an appreciation of 9 photographs, and I'm going to do that every day for 9 days. So here's how it's going to work. The first 5 minutes, I'm going to tell you about the masterclass. So if you want to just come in for the photo appreciation, critique, analysis, come in at minute number 5. And then I'll go through 9 photographs in as much depth as I can possibly manage, and all that makes sense. And then the last 10 minutes will be about the masterclass with questions if you have any. All right, so that's the plan. So I'm going to tell you about the masterclass that I'm running for the next 5 minutes. I'm not running the masterclass for the next 5 minutes. I'm going to tell you about it for the next 5 minutes, and we're going to dive into 9 photograph analyses. And to be honest, this is taking a while to set up. There's a lot of windows open, so it's hopefully it'll get a little bit more professional as time goes on. I'm going to share my screen with you and tell you about the masterclass. So here it is. It's going to be starting in about 10 days, and it's going to run for 9 weeks. There's actually 2 break weeks in the middle. I haven't told anyone that yet. It's an exclusive. And so there will be a set of 3 weeks. Then there'll be 1 week of a break or to catch up. Then there'll be 3 more weeks. Then there'll be another break or catch up week. And then there will be the final 3 weeks. And as you can see here, it's focusing on, if you'll excuse the pun, smartphone photography. But to be honest, my roots are in photography. You know, I started learning more than 30 years ago, when obviously smartphones weren't around. And I've spent many years photographing Paris on SLR cameras, you know, those old-fashioned ones with lenses that go like this and zoom and lots of buttons, before I actually started getting into smartphone photography. But because so many people have smartphones and it's such an easy way to take photographs, but most people don't know how to take good photographs, and I take photographs of Paris on my smartphone and publish them, supposed to be artistic ones, every day, I decided to call it the Smartphone Photography Masterclass. But it's for anyone who's interested in photography. So it's going to be a wonderful 9-week experiential learning online program. Experiential learning means that there's lots and lots of practical stuff, and it's an experience product, certified experience product, which means it incorporates every possible aspect of making learning fun and motivating and actually achieving the goal that we set ourselves at the beginning. Because we set ourselves a goal at the beginning. You're joining this class to achieve a goal, and the goal is a beautiful set of photographs in under 9 themes. So there's a theme per week, a very interesting, stimulating theme per week. They're all different, it's varied. I'm not going to tell you what they are. And you produce a set of photographs for each theme. So by the end of the 9 weeks, you have 9 beautiful sets of photographs based on the lessons and the Facebook Lives that we've done on those themes, and you exhibit them. So the final outcome is your set of beautiful photographs and an exhibition. Don't panic if that sounds scary. It can be as simple as presenting your photographs to the group, and you'll have a web page on the site, a special web page for you. Or you could have a live, you know, print your photographs out, put them on the walls, and but it could be as simple as in your own living room for your family and your kids, or it could be in a real gallery, a real art gallery. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to stop after 5 minutes and start analyzing photographs. I'm going to go through this webpage, which is infinitecreativity.now.com/masterclass-photo at the end. So the last 10 minutes of this will be about that, but this is about photo analysis now. Right, so welcome everybody. This is, all right, see what I can, yeah, there we go. Let me get, I'm trying to come back to you. There we are. And there we are. Right, so the plan is, I've just spent 5 minutes talking about the masterclass. Now I'm going to analyze, discuss, critique in the friendliest possible way 9 photographs. And then the last 10 minutes of this will be about the masterclass. If you want to join up, it starts soon. There's a special bonus. And there's a bonus for people who join from this masterclass, from this photo analysis. There's a special bonus you'll only get if you join up from this session. And I'll tell you what it is at the end. And so let's get going. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. It's a new screen that I'm going to share now because it's the screen with all the photographs on. Just have to find it. And there it is. So what I'm doing is I'm going to do three of my photographs each day and 6 of other people's photographs. If you look at the little thing I created here, you can see there's a series of 9 photographs. Each one represents one of the days. We're on day 1 here, of course. So that's up in the top left. It's going to be in a kind of noughts and crosses grid. And I'm going to start with one of mine, 2 of other people's, then another of mine, 2 of other people's, another of mine, 2 of other people's. So let's start with this one. This was one of the early ones in my this current project that I'm running, which is a artistic photograph of Paris each day. And I've planned it to run for 18 years. So I've got to live another 16 years to finish this project. And this is really one of my favorite photographs for 2 or 3 reasons. One reason is just the technical aspects of it. I had to wait. What most people don't realize is this bird was on the head of this statue until just before I took the shot. And that's a very common occurrence. Birds seem to like going on statues' heads. And you could take a picture of a bird on a statue's head, and a lot of people do. But wouldn't it be amazing if the bird were flying? But the thing is, normally what happens is that the bird flies off and you either get him on the head or out of the shot. So it takes a certain amount of patience and readiness. I mean, literally, I'm not even breathing. The camera's in the right place. My finger is hovering over the button and I wait and I wait. And sometimes I get bored and I go away and the bird flies off beautifully just after I've gone. Or in some cases, this is what happens. So technically, I'm happy. I'm happy here. And you've got the composition wise, well, you've got the guy is down just slightly off to the center on the right, which is nice. You need that space. He needs to be off. If he were in the middle, it wouldn't be so nice because when the statue's looking in a direction, it's nicer if there's more space for the statue or a face to look in than there is behind. But I needed some space to the left of him, in front of his face, for the bird. Otherwise, and the bird itself needs some space to fly into as well. And I wanted a nice angle between the bird and the statue. And I wanted to get that little bit of, it's not foliage, is it? There's hardly any leaves. Those branches filling in that top right-hand corner. The guy himself is nicely surrounded by branches, but there would have been a bit of a sad empty corner up in the top right there if I hadn't got the branches in. And then I played around with the colors, and obviously it was normal color, drab sort of, probably could have been a gray sky and a gray statue and a gray tree, and a grayish, a white bird, I guess, with a black head. But because my photographic objective is to create images halfway between grim reality and a kind of fantasy dream world, I mess around with the colors afterwards. But I do insist, and I always insist, if you start with crap, you'll finish with crap. It might be colorful crap or with special effects on it crap, but it'll still be crap. So never, ever believe that the effect is the shot. It almost hurts me when I show a photograph to someone that I've taken, and I admit I do play with them afterwards. But if the first thing they say is, "What app did you use?" I've failed. All right, so there's that, and I did turn it into a poem as well. Well, not turn it into a poem, but I publish a text with each of my photographs, and sometimes it's a poem. And today, just by chance, the three of them that I'm going to show you are all poems. I'm not going to read the poem, but you can look at it on the video if you want to stop the video. Hopefully you can read it. Now I'm going to go into the first of our guests. And for this, I need my glasses to read. So this is from Alice. This is a kind of Alice triple bill. So Alice, I hope you're watching, or you watch later. There's 3 photos from Alice here. One in each section after mine. So Alice, cup and scissors. And she says, Sab, I was trying to get an interesting picture of the French onion soup we ordered that came with scissors to cut the cheese so it would not be stringy. I've never seen that before. That's wild. When I made it a square edit, I could not figure out how to get the entire shot and scissors in the edit. Any ideas? Well, the thing is, you haven't given me the original. You've just given me the edit. Well, I mean, it's square, so I'm assuming that's your edit. So I'm not quite sure what to say, because if the original was bigger, then you obviously take the square shape and you manipulate it until everything is as you want it. So I'm not quite sure what to say, but I will make a couple of comments, of course. So you're looking down on these. This is spontaneous, by the way. I haven't prepared any of this, so some of it will be nonsense and some of it might be okay. But that's kind of the way I do it. I'm not much of a preparer. Looking down on the top of food is wonderful, because suddenly what is some sort of functional item or food suddenly turns into a graphical shape, and very often circles. For example, if you're looking down on the top of glasses or plates or bowls, it turns into circles within circles, next to circles. And because plates are often quite pure, not like pure white, they kind of just become graphic images. But of course, in the middle of this, you've got this beautifully textured toasted cheese and the sort of killer scissors stuck into it, which is a really interesting element. And you've done a nice job of putting you have to balance it. You have to really look at it as a bunch of circles and loops and say, what's a nice arrangement of these? And frames, I mean, the edges of the photos are unbelievably important. Without them, I mean, you can't not have a photograph without edges, not really. But if you don't take them into account, your photograph's it's gonna show. So you have to be careful where you position things. And what are you positioning here? What have you got to play with? Well, you've basically got the edges of the shapes, haven't you? The edge of the photo and the edges of the shapes. Should they touch the edge? Or should the edges of the plate and the scissors touch the edges of the photo? Should they go out of the photo and be cut by the edges? Should they be within and have a bit of space around them before you get to the edges? These are all questions you can ask yourself. And sometimes you can fit them all in, sometimes you can't. There might be an argument for fitting everything in or having everything chopped by the edges. In this case, I can make it a little bigger, but it's slightly too big for my screen. I can't be bothered getting doing it manually. So on the left, the plate almost touches the edge. On the bottom right, the edge of the scissors almost touches the edge with about the same distance between. So that's something I watch out for. In the top of the plate is chopped. And in the top right, there's a very nice filling in. Remember I said the branches in my last shot, this one here, the branches filled in the top right of the photograph. Well, she's done the same thing with this little plate here. It might sound trivial, but that's filling in a gap. I'm tempted to say filling in this gap in the bottom left is some bit of old junk or a plastic bag or something off the edge of the table. So, kind of watch for that. It kind of clashes. I'm not quite sure why the plate is sort of hanging off the edge of the table or something. but watch out for that. You know, what are you going for? I'm guessing that this thing in the bottom left wasn't intentional. I'm guessing that you didn't plan to have that as an element of the photograph. I'm not saying that you did or you didn't, because it's not for me to say. I'm guessing, because for me, that's kind of unintentional, and it could be an oversight. So me pointing it out, you might be saying to yourself, oh my God, yeah. Or you might be saying, no, actually, I wanted that there for a contrast of color. I don't know, but there you go. If you're going to make a pure picture with lovely graphical shapes, then something like that, different color, don't know what it is, strange sort of hanging off the edge, that probably isn't going to help. Let me see who's left a comment here. Vespina, hi. Did you miss anything? Oh no, just me. Same old, same old. That's Vespina there saying hello. All right, I'm not going to really have too much interaction on these shows, because I'm focusing on the thing. But if comments come along, then I'll answer them. I'll have a look if I remember and I see them. So anything else that I have to say about that? There's the lighting, which you may not be able to do anything about it. If you're in a cafe or something, well, how can you change the lighting? I mean, you could maybe, but in this case, it's a little bit dark up in the top right. I guess you could have made the whole picture slightly brighter so that you've got more detail in the cheese here, which is actually getting quite dull. And that wouldn't have hurt, actually. It wouldn't have hurt. If you want a simple manipulation, make the entire photograph brighter would probably be nice, unless you want the moodiness of restaurant lighting. So, great playing around with graphical shapes, which they're half sort of abstract, but half, I want to tuck into that cheesy onion soup with the crispy burnt bits on top. Thanks for that, Alice. Right, here's one. And it's a Despina. So Despina, I think you're here. And you said, did I miss anything? Well, you didn't miss this. Well done. So I'm going to look at this. And Despina says, I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Thank you for this opportunity, Sam. Since we've been talking about selfies and not having the camera in the shot, I've been busting my brain how to keep the phone out of the shot. And right now, I'm just thinking I haven't got a clue. I honestly don't know what I'm going to say about this. I'm actually going to just make this a little bit brighter, if I can, just in a mini manipulation. And I don't do any manipulating on the computer. My principle is all on the smartphone, but occasionally I do a tiny bit. So I just wanted to make this a bit brighter, because it is a little bit dull, you see. And why is it dull? Well, it's dull because there's so much bright stuff, and there's hardly any darkness apart from Vespina's coat and trousers, but that isn't enough to make the whole photo nicely balanced. So you see, and it's turning a bit green there, whereas probably it wasn't in reality. But I just wanted it to be a bit brighter. So watch out for that. If everything is white and light and mirrors reflecting white, the camera's going to say, whoa, because the camera tries to go for an average gray between black and white, all balanced out. And normally it works okay, but there's many situations when it doesn't. For example, if you're shooting up into the sky is normally very light. Vroom, suddenly what was a beautiful white clouds suddenly turn into sort of mushy gray clouds. There's ways of getting around that, but this isn't about that. So yeah, I would have taken it, bumped up the exposure a bit, or do that afterwards. And your question, I really don't know. Because what do I do when I'm trying not to get the camera in the shot? Well, I kind of walk around, I move it around like this. It depends what the final shot's going to be. Because if the final shot's going to be what you can see on the screen now of me, it's going to be a bit of a problem to get the camera out of the way. But what about if you took the shot, hang on, you imagine I'm taking the shot, like I've got my finger ready to press the button there, and I take the camera here. You see, I could take that. It's a room full of mirrors. Yeah, I realize that. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And you could really play on those reflections and have not just, I can see you going into the distance, and your phone as well. So not only did you get your phone in the shot, you got your phone in the shot about 10 times. So you see, I could actually take the camera off and press the button. Is this, hang on, I'm getting confused here because this is if I were taking myself in a mirror. You see, because obviously if I'm doing a selfie with this camera here, it needs to be facing my face, but then then the smartphone wouldn't be in the shot either, would it? So bear with me, my brain's just catching up with what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so basically you're taking shots in mirrors. How do you not have the camera? Well, you can move the camera off to the side so that what the camera is taking the shot of is your body, but not the arm or hand holding the camera. When it's full body stuff, you can kind of try and hide it. Yeah, like hide it here, down below a bit, or slightly off to the side behind a pillar. Sometimes you can hide it behind a pillar so that the camera can see what you want the camera to see, but the camera doesn't take a shot of itself. Also, slight angle. You see what I'm doing here? Slight angle. When you take it, move it away from you on a slight angle. That can often get rid of it as well. I had exactly this thing today. I was taking a shot of me reflected in a window. I was trying to get reflections of me in this strange, colorful thing. But of course, there was a reflection of me in the window as well. Holding the phone like a dork. Hey, look, there's a guy holding a phone, taking a photo. And I managed to hide it in a part of the reflection, which actually inside the window had an extremely colorful wicker chair. And the camera reflection hardly showed up at all in that. Whereas I did, my face was reflected, but by the time it got down to the camera, I had it low as well. So it wasn't like next to my face. And the reflection in the window at that level taken by the camera was so complicated, like this complicated, colorful wicker chair, you couldn't see the reflection of the camera. All right, let's move on. So, I won't go into any more details on that. I'm trying to keep this reasonably short and snappy. This is my second one. And I hope that was helpful, Despina. This is from my early days as well of this project, from way back in last year, beginning of last year. What number is it? Oh, it doesn't. It's number 55. Okay, so a couple of months in. I'm particularly fond of this one. I spend a lot of time in railway stations in Paris, and I saw this woman waiting for the train. Then the train came in. And I found it a very beautiful, evocative image, which is enhanced by the fact that you can't really see any details of her. She's just a silhouette. And as soon as a person is a silhouette, they stop being that person and start being any person. So she is not just that woman, she is woman. If you see what I mean, she is woman. She is a woman waiting for a train in a lonely, dark train station. It's a bit spooky, a bit creepy, a bit grimy, late at night, maybe. The train comes in, we start asking, what's her life like? Why is she waiting there all on her own? Is she going home to a loving family or to bare walls and not much to, you just don't know. But that's the whole point, you don't know. And then there's other stuff as well. There's the trying to frame stuff, trying to frame that pink poster here in between these two grimy pillars. And then the woman is kind of framed behind the train thing. Now this train is moving, that's why it's a blur. So she's kind of almost framed by the pink of the doors, which is a kind of diagonal repetition of the pink of the poster. If you look at it, two pink rectangles at an angle, which is nice. She's down in the bottom left, which is a nice compositional place to be. If anything, she's looking slightly into the photograph, like towards the right, if anything, maybe not, but she could be. So if she was looking out of the photo to the left, it would be kind of strange, but no, doesn't seem to be. And I chose a certain frame and such like. I do like to play with frames and things. I mean, artificial ones afterwards, but don't worry about that. And I applied a pretty grimy effect afterwards to give it that atmosphere, the atmosphere that I was after. And, trying to describe images with words is actually quite pointless because the image is the image and you've just got to look at it and you've just got to feel something. The image doesn't speak to you in words and you don't have to describe it in words. Just something happens. Of course, afterwards we do, don't we? but that's kind of after the fact. If you try and describe a photo in words, you're kind of too late, because the image, the effect has taken place, the emotion has passed, and you think whatever you think about it. It can even spoil it sometimes, talking about it. But anyway, that's something that it's fun as well. And this was another one I did that inspired a poem. Again, I won't read it. That's not what we're here for. But you see how I combine my text with the images every day. That's something I decided to do. I recommend that you find find your thing, and whatever it is, it could be taking a certain type of photograph. It could be combining words with photographs, or painting on top of photographs. It doesn't really matter. Or playing music to photographs while on a video. You don't have to combine anything either. It can just be the photographs, of course. But my thing at the moment is combining words with photographs. The words are sometimes inspired by the images. Normally it's that way, because the words come after. Words don't often inspire an image. I don't often go out there looking for an image to go with words. And sometimes there's no relationship between the words and the image, but often there is these days. And I'm starting to realize that at first I wanted my pictures to be purely standalone, and the words to be standalone. But especially the poetry, I wanted the poem to be a poem. You didn't need the image. But what seems to be happening is I'm writing a poem about the image, and it's actually becoming linked and not separable in my mind. I don't want them to be separated now. So that's an evolution which is happening for me, and I'm going with it. If that's what's happening, that's what's happening. It's not me deciding, and I like that. And Alice, number 2. So here's Alice number. Vespina's saying it's called the Infinity Room, Infinity Coach. Yeah, well, I'm the Infinity Coach, aren't I, or something like that. And this is the Infinity Room. I wonder where that is. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, something absolutely incredible about mirrors. Okay, so this is Alice's second one, and she says, she says, sunset. I chose 3. This sunset, I wasn't sure if I should just take the sky, just the tree and sky, or try to cut out as much as possible to have mostly sky and green. Just the sky, just the tree and sky. Well, just the sky? That would be kind of weird, wouldn't it? Just the sky would be what? I don't know what just the sky would be. Is that just the sky? That doesn't work for me. You probably don't mean that, to be honest. But no, I wouldn't do just the sky, because then it's just a pattern, isn't it? It's just like an abstract pattern. What else could you do? Just a tree in the sky, or cut out as much as possible to have mostly sky and green. I haven't got a clue. I have no idea. You do whatever you like. But if I looked at this photograph and I did one crop spontaneously, it might be something like that. You can't have everything. That's the thing with cropping. You crop to make a photograph stronger, but you have to make compromises, and you have to lose stuff that you love. It's like when you write an article, you fall in love with every sentence, and then you realize you've written twice as much as you've got space for. Like on my photographs, when I put the text, you see the photograph is always the same size. And if there's a space for 100 words and I've written 200, 100 words have to go. And it's incredibly painful. And it's the same with cropping a photograph. But when you get rid of those 100 words, the 100 that are left are the distillation of all your good ideas. And it's the same with this. So, look, you might think, oh, yes, but look at the way that bit of tree comes in on the top right. Isn't that beautiful? But the bigger you make the photograph and the more stuff you put in, the less impactful it is. So I would say, well, no, you do whatever you like, right? You can have 10 different versions if you like. But I'd go for this. You've got a nice chunk of the okay. you've got a nice chunk of the sky. In fact, it's very nice because you've got, look, it goes down like this, and then it comes out like this at the bottom, like this. So that's actually very beautiful. And look, you've got this little bit of blue, this little arrowhead blue kind of thing going in on each side. And this thing that goes down there, which beautifully covers the buildings. And the buildings, funnily enough, the roofs of them are almost the same color as those clouds. I'd almost say it was reflecting the clouds, but I don't think they are reflecting the clouds, but it looks a bit like they are, doesn't it? And you've got a tree on the left, half a tree. It's not about the tree. You know, if it's about the tree, you take a picture of a tree and you have sky on either side. It's about this view. And the tree is the little plus, you know, the little extra. And you've got a bit more of the tree on the right, because otherwise it would be very sort of, you know, symmetrical, slap bang in the middle. There's nothing very artistic about that. So there's a bit more tree on the right than on the left. And also, to complement the bigger tree on the right, you've got this bit of blobby green, which is a very beautiful shape, this blobby green coming in, 2 shades of green. Don't chop the green, don't chop the edges of it. It's too beautiful to do that. But you have chopped on the left this other bit of semicircle, but you can chop that because it's not pretty and it's not the main one. So it's, and look down here on the bottom right as well, you've got another. So this is perfect, you see. You've got bottom right, you've got this little bit, which is exactly the same color and style as this bit on the left. They're both chopped, they're both small. So there's this repetition, they're nicely placed on the frame, and they echo the complete roundy, ovally bit of the actual golf green. Absolutely beautiful. That's just my suggestion, you see. Thanks for that. Fantastic. Gorgeous sky. You got too much sky, it doesn't hit you. You know, choose a good bit and go for it. Right, this is Dorothy. By the way, I need more photographs to critique, okay, to appreciate. So send them in, send more in, because I need more. I'm doing this for 9 days in a row. The last 10 minutes of this will be about the masterclass. The first 5 minutes were about the masterclass. So if you've just joined, in the next videos, at 5 minutes in, I will always start the photo appreciation. The first 5 minutes is about the masterclass. The last 10 minutes is about the masterclass and questions if you like, the masterclass that's coming up, and the middle bit is the critique. Right, so what have we got here? We've got a pot, a glass pot by the looks of things from Dorothy. Dorothy says, the light came from the right. Okay. On the screen, it looks like it's the left for me, but for me, believe me, that's my right hand. Came from the right, and there were rays of lights coming out of the left. So I think she's talking about this little bright bit here. Ah, yeah, look at this. Look, this bright bit here. Can you see my mouse moving? Of the left, like sun on a spot where there shouldn't be any light. Yeah, I'm not sure if she's asking for analysis of this or just describing the photograph. You'll find that light does strange things, especially with curved glass. You never really know what's going to happen. Well, I mean, maybe you do if you're an expert, but I don't. And lo and behold, there's a very bright spot of light down in the bottom left there, which must be coming from, you can see the light source is coming from above and behind on the right because of these rays shooting out like that. And there's something wonderful about light being coming through glass. It does interesting things. It gives beautiful shadows. There's distortion. There's color if it's colored glass. There's often imperfections in the glass, which can make it look wonderful as well. It's got a little candle inside, I can see. And yeah, lovely. I mean, I don't have too much to say about that. I would move it around a bit to see what happens. If like the background ends up being nicer. You're very tight in. It's a very tight shot. And I'm not sure if it's the best distance to be, because you've chopped the pot slightly on the right, but not on the left. Okay, so that kind of makes me think, why? Maybe because the left of the pot is more interesting than the right. It could be that. But is it interesting enough? And is it a powerful enough crop? I'd be more, if that's what you're doing, I'd be more inclined to get rid of all of this stuff, you know, that doesn't really say anything. I like the top of the pot. It's very sort of dusty and it's got texture. I don't really think that this thing here on the right is doing much. I'm not too fond of these rays on the wall. Maybe, yeah, maybe they show that the sunlight streaming in. Okay, these rays are quite nice, I guess. They could be stronger though. You see, they're very dark, aren't they? What about if you got rid of this sort of right-hand side, which doesn't do very much? It's stronger, you know, at least the chopping of it is clear enough that you actually meant to chop it in half. Otherwise, it's kind of like, why did you leave off that little bit of it on the right? And you've got space underneath for the rays, because the rays on this kind of matte thing are part of the strength of the photograph. It's a bit dull as well, isn't it? It could be brighter, because if you've got light streaming through something, it would be nice if it really lit it up. But not necessarily, because look, if this bright spot here is very bright, so you know, maybe that was natural light coming through. So I'd hesitate before telling you that it should be brighter or something, if in fact that's what you wanted. Just see what happens if I brighten it up slightly here. So you can. This is about the only manipulation I do, by the way, on the computer. And I never do it on my smartphone photos that I publish. Everything's done on the... Yeah, you see, that's quite nice, isn't it? That's maybe... It's a bit dull. For something that's a beautiful, clear, gorgeously colored glass thing with the sunlight streaming through it, I'd like to see more of that color, more. Now, 3 more to go. This is... So thanks for that, Dorothy. This is... What I'm trying to do in the 9 shots, no, 27 shots. I'll show you 27 of my shots over the next 9 days, 3 a day. I'm trying to show you as much variety as possible. I go to Paris and I let Paris speak to me. And it always does. Lady Eiffel always smiles. The muse taps me on the shoulder and I get shots. And I have no idea what they're going to be. So I'm not even calling myself a street photographer these days. I'm just saying I go to Paris and see what Paris gives me. Because, you know, street photography, people think of what? They think of drain pipes, they think of homeless people, they might think of a famous monument, but, you know, I hate labels. I'm getting more and more against labels. So I'm not even calling myself a street photographer anymore. You have to sometimes, you have to kind of say what you are. But, you know, if one day I go to Paris and I see a beautiful person sitting somewhere, then it's going to be a lovely portrait if I manage to get it, because I do quite candid stuff. I don't want them to know that I'm taking their shot. If it's a homeless person, then it's going to be a homeless person. If it's the Eiffel Tower or the Arc de Triomphe looking stunning, then it's like tourist photography. If it's some abstract texture on a wall, then it's going to be abstract art. So I don't know what it's going to be. If it's a piece of history, then it's historical. I don't know what it's going to be. Anyway, here's a guy walking down some steps. And this is, I think this is quite a strong photograph. You've got a big downward movement. He's going down. He's top left, and he's got space to go down into, and it's going down because of the steps, the strong bum, 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 bum. And he's got his first foot going down. He's got a huge, quite scruffy looking beard. So I'm reckoning he's either homeless or, you know, not sort of your average businessman going to work 9 to 5. He's got about 3 bags. I mean, one of them looks like a computer bag maybe, but I doubt that it is. So I would say he's, you know, in the streets quite a lot. And so there's a metaphor here, you know, going down in life, down and out. And in fact, my poem that went with this, I'll just show you, actually played on that, where I used the word down about 20 times. And I actually structured the poem in the same way as the steps, if you see. I don't always do that, but if something suggests itself to me, then I might go with it, the idea. And yeah, so these strong downward lines, the way I do them in this, it looks like they're going the wrong way to me when I'm looking at my hands here. But anyway, you see what I'm saying. Strong diagonal lines leading down. They're getting narrower as they go towards that bottom right-hand corner. You don't actually know what's down there. In fact, he's going down towards the edge of the Seine, the River Seine. And what you can see here is the banks of the Seine. So, you know, he's going down to the river, and you kind of wonder why. What's he doing? Why is he going down there? What's he got in his bags? You can't see his face, which again, like the girl or woman waiting for the train, when you can't see their face, they become more symbolic. He's almost symbolic of all the homeless people in Paris, as far as I'm concerned, or people in maybe, I don't know what to say, difficulty, you know. I sometimes think some of them are happier than some others. But anyway. The tones of the photograph are all quite similar, apart from him. Okay, the colors have been enriched a bit, but it's still kind of in these tones of stony tones, you know, or there's a bit of moss in the bottom left. That bottom left corner, by the way, nicely closes off that corner, and there's a kind of equivalent up in the top right. And you've got these, you know, there's lots and lots of lines in this shot. There's lines everywhere except for him. He's the only one who hasn't got lines, which is quite nice because he's human and he's in this kind of granite or concrete or stone jungle. A bit of humanity, you know, represented by the softer lines, trying to live some sort of life in this existence of harsh, angular, cruel, unforgiving, cold, colorless stone. That was the poem that went with it. You can maybe read it if it works on the video. And 2 more to go. And then there's 10 minutes on my masterclass if you want to know about it, and if you want to join it with a special bonus for anyone who joins from any of these 9 photo appreciation videos, a bonus that only you will get. And yeah, and that's it. And there's an early bird pricing as well, which is available now. And this is 2 more, and this is Alice's final shot. Let's go, Alice. And Alice actually came to Paris and with her partner and did a photo tour with me. So I'm very fond of Alice, and Alice is very fond of lamps. Very fond of lamps. At one point, we worked together on the idea of doing a collage like my, you know, I love my 3x3 grids. I think she did a 3x3 grid or some sort of grid of lamps, Paris lamps. I think they were all Paris, or maybe there was a mixture. They were marvelous. So she says, in editing and lamp and moonshot, would it be better to leave it as it is or take out the vertical pole? So I don't know if this is the whole shot or not. I think she's kind of caught my square fever because a lot of her shots are square these days. So what I'm assuming she's saying is, I wonder if I make it bigger, I can still keep it all in. Almost. I think it's better to... I've almost got it all in. What would the best crop here be? What do you think? Don't forget it's personal. I absolutely love the way the moon is a tiny little arch, which is surrounded by this bigger arch. And it's not a full moon. So in fact, it is only part of the moon has the round bit, which is echoed by the fact that this is a semicircle and not a full circle. So, and also there's an angle. You see, it's obviously the moon. The moon is the edge of the moon, which is sharp, is at an angle to this. So it's not like that. It's not like that. It's like that, which is beautiful. So I think it would be a great shame to not have that moon surrounded by that round bit. The pole. I mean, what is the photograph though? That's the thing. You know, you got to say, what is the subject? What is it? Right now, it's the whole lamppost, and including the lamppost. with that bit of, okay, there's a bit of just one thing I need to get out of the way, and that is that bit of plant, that tree. Now, I'm guessing that it's there because she disregarded it because she wanted, or you, if you are Alice, she wanted to get the moon slap bang in the middle. And for that, unfortunately, perhaps, there was a bit of tree touching the edge of the lamp. I'm not a fan of things breaking into pure shapes. And the oval of the lamp is a pure shape against a pure blue sky, pure-ish. So breaking that without good reason, it's like the plate. Remember one of the first shots of the plate being broken by the edge, being chopped by the edge of the frame, by the frame? You've got to ask yourself a question: is that pleasant or not? Would it be nicer if it wasn't? So it's so it's kind of the same thing. But I can understand why she wanted to get the moon slap bang in the middle of that semicircle. So, you know, and I mean, otherwise, to be honest, that adds a bit of, not humanity, but a bit of life, doesn't it? Adds a bit of vegetation. It's not just a cold. If you got rid of that, it would be purely graphic, very graphic shot, very powerful shot. But it might almost be lacking a bit of soul. I can't say humanity because the tree isn't human, but you know what I mean. And then she says, I mean, should we get rid of the pole? Well, how? How would you get rid of the pole? You don't want to chop any of this. You want to keep the moon and stuff because that's you know, one of the main aspects of the shot. Do you want to keep it square? Because if you do, then you've got to remember to keep it square, and then try and get rid of the pole. So what about if I'm not going to use the thing to keep it perfectly square, but I'm just going to, that's roughly square. Selection. You know, that's not bad as well, isn't it? Is it? You've got a kind of repetition of this little round bit here. I can make that bigger now. This little round bit here, this little round bit here, and this little round bit here, which is the moon. That's kind of nice. Yeah, you know what? You could have the pole just to give it a bit of context, so it isn't just floating in midair. But to be honest, this is actually a very strong shot as well. And the bits sticking off the edge, that actually kind of acts as the anchor. You know, you see it's attached to something, even if it's just the edge of the frame. So I don't mind either, actually. I'm not saying that one is better than the other. And also you might want to decide on, I'm kind of an equidistant guy. It depends, but you know, same distance between the top of the green and the top of the frame and on the left here. Something else to think about. Balance. It depends on various things, but it's something to think about. I like it, and I love the moon. Brilliant what you did with the moon. Even the light shining on these round echoes of the moon here, it's almost like the sun shining on the moon, isn't it? Because if you look at them closely, it's lit a bit like the moon. Check that out. See what I mean? It's like the moon being lit by the sun, but it's obvious. Well, actually, it is being lit by the sun, but it's not the moon. And the same on this. That's very funny, very interesting. All right, so one more to go. I've got an itchy nose. That's why I keep doing this. Sorry. And this is a Tinkutsa. Oh, Alice, hello, thank you. Yeah, well, you know, it's an Alice special today. I've done 3 of yours, and this was from Tinkutsa, and I love this because not only is it an interesting photograph, lovely colors, but it's very good for talking about. Would it be a good idea to trim the bottom and just leave the tree line and more of the sky? Okay. Obviously, I want to accentuate the little cloud that looks like a fairy tale creature. What are your thoughts? Right, so if I did what she just suggested, you could do that, couldn't you? Which is interesting. I mean, it's okay. You know what? You've got to kind of go to an extreme, because if I just did it kind of wishy-washy, just have a look at that, all right? Just absorb that with your eyeballs. How huge the sky is in relation to that tiny strip of land with the tiny bits of trees. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And if I'd only chopped it sort of wishy-washily, like just chopped a bit off, like like here, crop to selection. It's not as strong. Can you see that? It's not as strong as if you really go radical and make the strip of land about the same as the distance between the horizon and the tops of the mountains. I mean, that radical. Boom. Maybe it's too much, okay? But not too much more. And then you've got a stunningly strong shot because all of a sudden, the sky is the subject. You've got to ask yourself, what is the subject of the shot? You know, it's either the field with a bit of sky or it's the sky with a bit of field. But if you've got half and half, you don't know what the subject is, unless it's like, hey, look at this half green, half blue panel. So there's that. And then the thing she also asked was, what about this funny, cute little cloud? Well, I'm just going to do a very quick edit. Unfortunately, I don't think she's got enough pixels for this to work very well. But what about if this were the shot? I can't remember how I did it. I think I know what I did last time. I did something like this, because what I kind of thought was that the trees below actually echoed the shape of the little monster cloud. Check this out. Yeah. Okay, check this out. Crop. Okay, so she hasn't got enough pixels, unfortunately. Maybe she has in the original. But you get the idea. And you've got, you'd probably make it a bit brighter as well. It's a bit dark, but I think you can. This little monster cloud thing here looks like a kind of Loch Ness monster. And these trees tailing off down to the bottom, it almost echoes, and repetition is wonderful in photographs. So you've got a choice. I would either go for the first thing I suggested, chop most of the green off. You've got a stunning sky. Or do a little funny panoramic thing with this monster. And I think that's fantastic. Fairy tale creature, yeah. Those are my thoughts. Right, so that's it for today's, what program is that you're using? It's GIMP, G-I-M-P, GIMP, or the GIMP. It's a free image processing program. Lots of people, who are hung up on technology, say, oh, do you use Photoshop? Oh, you don't use Photoshop. Oh. I don't give a damn, about Photoshop. Like I said, my principle at the moment, I give myself limits to be more creative within the limits. And the limits I've given myself are do everything on the smartphone. So I just happen to have it on the computer because I'm talking to you guys. But everything on the smartphone, there's so many apps. They're so amazing. You don't need a computer. So it's, yeah. All right, so that's it. I'm going to move on to 10 minutes of masterclass information. If you don't want that, go away. After you've signed up for the masterclass, obviously, and I'll see you tomorrow. If you do want to know about the bonus, only for the masterclass people, only for people watching this session, and possibly certain other people that I know, and you want to know more about the masterclass, you want to ask questions about the masterclass, you can do it now. Now, I think to be able to ask questions that I can see, you have to be on my personal page. It's facebook.com/sabparis. I think that's the only place I can see your questions. I should have said that at the beginning. I didn't. Sorry. Right. Let's get rid of that. So I've got to time this because I want people to know that at exactly 10 minutes from the end, they can stop watching. Because I'm going to talk about the masterclass 9 days in a row. So I'm going to add my masterclass thing. So I hope that was useful for you. I hope you enjoyed that. Talking about 9 very interesting photographs. I'm smiling because 3 of them were mine. I can't say guess which. If I'd said 3 very interesting photographs, I can't say guess which ones you thought. I thought anyway. Okay, here we go. Right, I'm going to time this so that I know when to shut up. Right, here we go. So this is the last 10 minutes of the show for today, and I'm going to tell you all about my my creative smartphone photography masterclass. It's a time you can ask questions. If you're on my personal page, that's where you type questions and I see them. I think it's if everything's working, it's facebook.com/sabparis. You ask your question there and I will see it, I think. So I'm going to tell you all about, got a call coming in, which is distracting me. Sorry about that. I'm going to tell you all about my masterclass, which is starting in about 10 days. Okay, so this is Friday and it's starting not on Monday, but the following Monday. And I'm doing these photo analyses, so you get to know me, get to know how I talk about photographs. It's not what I'll be doing on the masterclass all the time. You know, the masterclass is 9 weeks. I was going to say it's intensive, but it's not exactly intensive. It's comprehensive. My objective is for it to be the only photography masterclass you will ever need. And that includes people with big fancy cameras if you don't have a speciality that you want to get into, because it's as much about developing the photographer's eye as about knowing what works on your camera. I mean, if you want a big fancy SLR camera, you know, with the buttons and you really can do some nice stuff, great, I've got one, you know, but I will be talking quite a bit about, it's not that I'll be going into great detail about the smartphone. It's more that I'll be going into far more detail about what it is, what it takes to make an amazing photograph, irrespective of what button you're about to press, whether it's a smartphone invisible button, whether it's a big SLR button or a point and shoot throwaway camera, if those still exist. That's irrelevant. We'll be doing a lot of work on, well, actually, it's divided. Let me show you. Wouldn't that be easier? All right, so I'll just get this up on my screen. Okay, here we go. All right, so the idea is turn your sad smartphone snaps into artistic masterpieces in 9 exciting weeks. And that's exactly what I want it to be. Liberate your creativity. So it's for people who, they've got a smartphone, a very nice smartphone probably, which is actually a very nice camera. They love photography, and they feel that they've got a huge amount of creativity within them, but they've never been able to get it out, and they'd love to. And they'd love to find an easy way to do that. And I'm telling you, photography is an incredibly easy way of being incredibly creative. You know, we've got it in our pocket. The potential is limitless, and yet we don't use it. We take silly snaps, or we don't take anything. And I take photographs every day and I publish them. So as far as that's concerned, as far as actually taking photographs every day, I know what I'm talking about. For the rest, it's for you to decide. So let's have a look at what's in the program. There's an early bird. Let me just tell you, there's an early bird thing. So if you click on this, let's see what happens if I click. Cross my fingers, see if it works. You should go to the sign up page. And here, you see, I'm not a big salesman. You're supposed to keep the price to the end. I don't care about that. You know, the idea is that you know that you want to come on this by now or not. So basically, normally the price for the final one will be $297. But if you type early bird in capitals and press return or enter, it goes down to $197. So the early bird price is $100 off. All right, just so you know. But that will be finishing a little bit before the program starts. So join now to avoid disappointment. All right, so I go through some of this stuff. Please go and read this. I'm not going to read it for you. If you go to infinitecreativitynow.com, on the front page, there's a button to go to this page. So I give you examples of some of my Paris street photography. And all of the photographs on this page are taken on a camera like this. In many cases, it was a camera which was a lower version. It doesn't matter what smartphone you have, honestly. Of course, it's nice if you have a nice one, but you know, if it's reasonably modern from the last few years, it's nice. I was taking photographs I was really happy with years ago, you know, on the iPhone 3, I think, or 5. Yeah, 3. My first was a 3. I was taking photographs I was delighted with on the 3 in terms of quality. Then I had the 5. Now I've got the 8. You know, now we've got the 11 or whatever it is. So the quality is almost irrelevant. The quality is there. It's irrelevant. What makes your photographs is here. What's here? What's here? And some pretty cool techniques. All right, so this is worth looking at, the false beliefs. A lot of people think that to take great photographs, you need an official diploma. No. You need years of experience. No. You need an expensive camera. No. You need to be a professional photographer. No. You need to come from an artistic background. No, you don't. You just need to be a human and have a smartphone and go out there and start looking for things that you like, looking for things that please you. And I insist every time, my definition of a great photograph is if the person who took it likes it. Isn't that a good starting point? What could be better than that? No one can tell you that your photograph isn't good or that it could be better. They can give you their opinion, but no one can tell you. If you like it, by definition, it's wonderful. But of course, you could probably learn how to take more photographs that you think are even more wonderful. So that's what the masterclass is for. It's not to tell you what you think is wonderful, but it's to help you to take more photographs that you think are wonderful. And I can certainly help you with that. So the truth is, you need a love for taking pictures and being creative, a modern smartphone. I mean, we're not talking, it's got to have like more than 480 pixels across and 360 down. Yes, but all of them do these days. And a desire to learn basic and advanced techniques in an exciting and fun approach. Okay, so I'm just going to go through this. We've got about 3 minutes left. It's a certified experience product. Now, this is a training that I did to make this product even better. And that means it incorporates everything you could possibly imagine that makes this a great learning experience. I read once an expert on sort of modern education saying that how would you give the perfect example of how not to teach someone something that the brain would hate in every possible aspect? And the answer was, go and look at a school classroom today. So you do everything the opposite, I mean, it's interactive, it's fun, it's you've got lots of quick wins, like there's a win every exercise, you get a quick win, you get rewards, you get fun sounds when you hit buttons, and you, very importantly, you head towards a very exciting outcome. And that outcome is an exhibition of your amazing photographs at the end, and you're guaranteed to get it. You follow the process, which I take you through. You are in a group, we have Facebook Lives, you have videos, but you commit to do the exercises and you can't fail. And you're not here to fail. I don't want people on the course who are trying it out or who they'll see. I want people who only want to succeed. And as a creativity coach, I help people to succeed in being as creative as they possibly can in their way. If you choose this course, then obviously photography is the way. Right. And so I'll just zoom through this because I'm at the end of my 10 minutes. You see all of these. This is my logo for this training. All of these are my Paris street photographs taken on a smartphone. There's videos every week. I think there's up to 3 videos every week. There's a live interactive session each week as well, where we ask questions, we get to know each other, we share. Depending on how many people sign up, I might put you into smaller groups to support each other, or we just support each other in one big group. And here's the modules. First module, there's 5 modules, and I use a special learning system that I've developed called the Rainbow Mountain Method. It's to motivate you like never before, to make sure you succeed. Okay, so there's the Joy of Photography introductory module. There's Mastering Your Camera and the Apps. There's Composing Your Photos Like a Pro. That's intermediate level. Advanced level is Developing Your Photographer's Eye. And the final bit is Present Your Work and Graduate. And that's it, folks. There are bonuses as well. I'm going to leave it at that because that was 10 minutes. Sign up. Your success is guaranteed. There we go. Stop. Thank you. Your successes, I guarantee that you'll succeed. Otherwise, I'll carry on working with you until you do. And success is producing a beautiful set of amazing photographs. Don't forget, this is what you want. This is what you're signing up for. You don't kind of go away with a reasonable experience. You go away with a stunning set of photographs, and better than you've ever had before. There's some nice comments, and there is a frequently asked questions, and that's it. Action. You need to take action, and you will get results. So I'll see you tomorrow, not at the same time. I don't know when. Same place, on my personal profile page, facebook.com/SirParis. And we'll analyze 9 more photographs. I'll do the same blurb again about the masterclass. And please send in your photographs if you can. That would be great for analysis. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.